Okay, so, here we are again. So, I don't know if I just imagined this, but 2022 was such a good year for movies. Maybe I just watched more good ones this year, but either way, the cynicism I used to feel about, movies these days are so unoriginal and boring, is definitely starting to fade. People still have creative visions, people still have passions, and people still have the ability to perfectly realize those passions into awesome spectacles of film. And don't get me wrong, some massive heaps of stinky garbage came out this year too. But to dedicate the best films of this year the attention they deserve, I think I'm just gonna focus on the top 10 this year and kinda toss everything else to the wayside. So I'm sorry to say that Morbius will not be getting the hour-long analysis that I had planned. I will do a quick lightning round though, so let's do that. Fuck you. Let's just say all the mockery this movie got was 100% deserved. Gaslight, gatekeep, give me my money back. Wow, was this movie annoying. Easily the second best movie of 2022 that features both Michelle Yeoh and a rock with googly eyes. Actually a pretty interesting combination of horror and family drama. Well, that death sure was on the Nile. My favorite part was when Splat said, "It's Strange World in time," and then Strange World it all over the place. The space stuff was cool and all, but the most impressive part of this movie was that they prominently showed a homosexual couple on screen. More like the multiverse of moderate disarray. James Marsden's my favorite actor, man. Hey, this is me. You're probably wondering how I got here. You keep doing you, Taika. James Marsden is my favorite actor, man. The design of the main monster is the most boring thing I've ever seen, but everything else is actually surprisingly good, and the characters are surprisingly compelling. I definitely would have gotten more out of this movie if I hadn't already watched the documentary about this very same event, but this is still an incredible story, and it's presented in an incredible way. I gotta hand it to them, the way they handled the T'Challa situation was really good. Really excited to see what becomes of the new Wakanda. This is definitely one of those movies that I have no idea why audiences like it more than any other movie. It's pretty good, but not that good. This isn't an argument I want to get into right now, but this movie's just really epic, man. That Alphabet song had no right to go as hard as it did. Cheeseburger. Considering all the buzz that this movie had around it when it came out, I was really hoping it would make it to the top 10, but sadly, nope. Do you guys get it? Because that's the name of the movie. And that's the first time anyone's ever made that joke. Before we do get into the top 10 though, I just gotta say, I'm kind of embarrassed at how much good shit I missed out on in 2022. Like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, The Banshees of Inisherin, RRR. Sadly, there just isn't enough time to watch everything that the filmmakers of the world have to offer. I'll probably have watched some more 2022 movies by the time this video is done though, so if you want more updates, you can check out my Letterboxd page. Yes, I'm annoying. But without further ado, I'd say we're ready to jump straight into number 10. How the f do people do stop motion? Or maybe more importantly, why? I feel like this is the movie equivalent of having a jacket right next to you, but then proceeding to burn all of your furniture to make a fire because you think it's quirky and relatable. Computers exist, use them. No, but for reals, Guillermo's Pinocchio is really freaking impressive. Knowing how a movie was made definitely makes me appreciate it that much more. But this movie's impressive not only because of the painstaking attention to detail in the animation, but because of the daring new take on the Pinocchio story. Although the timing couldn't have been worse, what with the two other Pinocchio movies being released before it in the same year. The whole time I was watching this, I couldn't help but imagine Pauly Shore's voice every time Pinocchio opened his mouth. Someone make an edit of Guillermo's Pinocchio with Pauly Shore's dialogue. I'm sure that'll be hilarious. But yeah, I really like the way Guillermo interpreted this tale. Everything about it is more mature and grounded, what with Geppetto becoming a raging alcoholic, and Pinocchio being sent to war camp, and getting shot by a talking cat. Nope, sorry, wrong Pinocchio. While also maintaining the ethereal aspect with some stellar puppets and a spine-chilling performance from Tilda Swinton. But there are just two huge, giant pimples on the face of this movie that I just couldn't overlook. First is how fucking bearable Pinocchio is for the first little bit he's on screen. There's nothing I hate more in movies than when someone starts out as the biggest... The biggest... There's nothing I hate more in movies than when someone starts out as the biggest bumbling idiot possible, so their transformation as a character will seem more obvious. I've actually coined a term for this. I'd like to call it the Gooby effect. And the second problem I have with this movie is with the songs. They're not good at all. In fact, they're so bad. Like, going into this, I didn't know it was gonna be a musical, so when they first started singing, I was like, what are you guys doing? You have a beautiful animation style, a captivating premise, fun characters, and a powerful storyline. You gotta know when to stop. Watching these characters break out into song for no reason feels like taking a shit on the Mona Lisa. I'm sorry I'm being so negative, it's just that all I've heard is good things about this movie. So I gotta just, put it in its place. It's still really strong and worth checking out even if you've seen Pinocchio done a million times. 8 out of 10. So, Top Gun. Pretty cool movie, I assume. Luckily though, even though this is a legacy sequel, you really don't have to have seen the first movie to enjoy Top Gun Maverick. Everything you need to know about Maverick's history is shown to us through his interactions with other characters and the occasional flashback, as it should be. He has a really compelling dynamic with Rooster, the son of the best friend that he feels bad for killing, with Penny, the only woman that puts up with his bullshit, and even with Iceman, a character who I was still able to fully grasp the importance of, despite not having seen the original Top Gun. Now, going in, I was expecting a bunch of military propaganda and fan service and thirsting over Tom Cruise, and obviously I got that. But then like halfway through I had to stop and be like, wait a minute. Is this actually a good movie? Like, I actually found myself putting my feet in the shoes of these characters and being like, oh my god. Like, doing all these insane airtight maneuvers in a tiny fighter plane together all while an enemy jet launches heat-seeking missiles at you, that'll bond you pretty hard. Just seeing how all the members of this team form relationships is so satisfying and believable. Another thing that surprised me was the choreography. Like, I can't imagine how hard it must have been to coordinate all of these shots in such a way where I'm still able to keep up with all these planes zigzagging around the sky. Some of the stunts that these pilots pull off are like next level. Like, I can't even, like, some of them were probably done with CGI or staged or like, but I'm gonna choose to believe they were all practical. Like, this freaking air drift dodge thing, how do you do that? And then like also when these characters start whipping out their freaking Navy speak, like, we gotta hit the mark at T-minus 69 seconds at a 45-degree angle while doing a cartwheel at 420 knots Celsius, Alpha, Delta, Sigma. I never found myself confused throughout this entire movie about anything, and like, that says something. One thing I will say is that there are several instances of the most cheesy, facepalm-worthy dialogue that sounds like it came straight out of a Disney Channel sitcom. But overall, it's just a banger movie. 8 out of 10. Yup, I still really like Turning Red. And most of what I said in my initial review still holds up, but after 2 more rewatches, I have a few more complaints to share. So the execution of this movie's themes isn't perfect. Like, I don't necessarily think it's ham-fisted or anything, but like, the opening scene isn't great, and I think there was a better way to intro the movie than by having May annoyingly narrating over some old photographs. And also, there's an inherent problem with the panda as a metaphor for like individuality, in that like, she can still be her own independent person without the liability of turning into a giant beast every time she experiences extreme emotion. Seems a tad bit irresponsible to do what she did, but it's just me, I guess. Oh yeah, and then there was the scene where May crashed a plane into the World Trade Center. What was that all about? Ah, who am I kidding? Turning Red is still an awesome time. This movie is so radically different from everything else Pixar has ever done that I have to give it credit just for that. It felt good to finally have a Pixar movie about the culture that I grew up with. The original songs are just so good. Like, they perfectly captured that early 2000s boy band aesthetic. Oh, and that scene towards the end where they're all harmonizing with the aunts and the grandmas in that chanting ritual. Oh, God. So good. Plus, it's delightfully animated and tells such a deeply personal story from Domi Shi, who I honestly kind of feel bad for, because, like, something tells me that a lot more people would have been rooting for this movie to win at the Oscars if it wasn't released under the Disney umbrella. But man, just the existence of this movie and these characters brings a smile to my face every time I think about it. So much so that I got merch of it at Disneyland. Check it out. But anyway, after my third time watching the movie, I debated changing my score from a 9 to an 8 because, you know, the hype had worn off and I started to notice plot holes. No, I'm not changing my score. If not only to do my part in balancing out all the negative reviews this movie got. If you want to hear me say more good things about this movie, go ahead and watch my initial review. 9 out of 10. Avatar: The Way of Water absolutely did not have to be made. Sure, the last movie kind of ended on a cliffhanger, but it was still pretty satisfying. And the way they just brought back the villain felt a little cheap to me, but it was all worth it to return to the stunningly beautiful world of Pandora. It is impossible to overstate the amount of world building that went into this universe. Like, they created an entirely new language for the Na'vi, complete with varied sentence structures and novel pronunciations. Like, there's literally an entire website dedicated to teaching people this language. Every single plant, animal, or location, no matter how long they were on screen, has its own name and description that some poor schmuck had to type out on the Avatar wiki. They mapped out the entire solar system so that the planets in the sky were in the right places at the right time. All I know is that I want to go here so bad. This just looks like the coolest vacation spot of all time. I want to ride one of these guys so bad you have no idea. I should clarify that I meant the sea creatures and not the Na'vi themselves. And on top of all that, the movie's themes of family and oneness with the world are surprisingly strong, which was kind of just a bonus for me because the primary reason I went to watch this movie was for the visuals. But the Sully family is really endearing and I can't wait to see what they do next. 9 out of 10. Hello? 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 This is the part where we, transition to the next I need you to listen to me very carefully. I'm not Jonah, at least not the one you know. I'm another version of him from another universe, and we need your help. There's a great evil spreading throughout the many verses, and it's coming for you. Have you ever noticed that you have no idea how to cook anything? How you never feel like getting up and going to the store to buy food? Well, you're not alone. Everyone in my universe has to eat instant hot dogs and cold beans. It's not fun, but we, here in the Alphaverse, have created a way for you to escape your home meal rut. We call it Facilitated Assistance in Caloric Tracking and Organic Regulation, or FACTOR. Here's how it works. Professional chefs from across the many verses prepare meals for distribution straight to your front door. For accessibility and convenience, the costs are kept affordable, and the meals can be ready to eat even faster whenever you need. We also consider nutrition. Our chefs make sure the meals that they create are healthy and high quality, while still scientifically guaranteed to taste good. Our options are endless as the multiverse itself, with a rotating weekly menu, a variety of add-ons, and even meals made for low-calorie, keto, vegan, vegetarian, and more. Finally, we made it as easy as possible for you to match a plan to your lifestyle, whether you want a meal every day, just one a week, or for any reason need to skip a week. No stress, no mess. Factor does everything for you, except, eat the food. Help us in our mission to protect the multiverse against whack-ass food with a special 50% discount only accessible through the link in the description, or by using this code at go.factor75.com. If you do, I'm sure you'll be helping out the person who owns this YouTube channel a lot. Good luck, and thanks to Factor for sponsoring this broadcast. What the what happened? And why do I have the sudden desire to order a delicious ready-made meal from Factor? Anyway, I'm gonna go do that. Just play the transition. There are exactly 2 movies I've seen in my life that take place entirely on board an East Asian passenger train and involve deadly venom. Yeah, weird that it happened twice, right? The first one is Train to Busan, a movie with a pretty simple zombie concept that still finds endless ways to thrill and terrify within the confines of its setting. And I definitely didn't think there was any way another train movie could impress me nearly as much as Train to Busan did, but that just goes to show me for doubting people's creativity, because the second movie is... Yeah, I'm putting Bullet Train above James Cameron's bajillion-dollar cinematic science fiction marvel. This is my list. What are you gonna do about it? Leave a mean comment? That was a joke, please don't leave a mean comment. This is a fun-ass movie, y'all. It feels completely detached from every other generic punch, shoot, gritty, Fast and the Furious, John Wick-esque flick that seems to be a dime a dozen these days. Not that I entirely have a problem with those types of movies, but all I'm saying is Bullet Train is really unique. There is so much going on this train. There's secrets and blackmailing, and everyone's trying to kill each other, and they talk about Thomas the Tank Engine, and the mafia's controlling everything, and it all just comes full circle, and I was there for every second. The setting restriction, just like in Train to Busan, isn't a hindrance to variety at all. I got no complaints about the fight scenes, epic as promised. And on top of that, there's more twists in this movie than a fucking pretzel factory. I imagine this is what Red Notice tried to do, but failed in every conceivable way because they cast the goddamn Rock and Ryan fucking Reynolds, who, oh yeah, is also in this movie for like 3 seconds, but that's not important. Did I mention that this movie's also just like really funny? I don't know, some might call this movie's humor cheap, what with the Marvel-style mid-fight quips, but Brad Pitt and those other guys do a really good job delivering their lines here. Now, this movie definitely goes off the rails a little bit. In the last 15 minutes, some old guy gets on the train and tries to tie everything together with an overarching lesson about fate, and I think they came in a little too late with that, but the movie still comes back and ends with a bang. Actually, it ends with more of a giant middle finger to the audience, which is honestly the best way they could have ended it. And for that, this unexpected one-off action comedy gets a respectable 8 out of 10. But Jonah, doesn't that mean this should be lower on the list because you gave Avatar 2 and not? I don't have to explain myself to you. Look, here at the Jonah Who channel, we rank based on vibes, okay? This movie is just so fucking stupid that it's awesome. And this wasn't even the best heist movie of 2022 where Zazie Beetz is revealed to secretly be a criminal. Wait a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. So DreamWorks, after nearly an entire decade of just, I don't know, whatever this is,
We are the K-pop gang.
appears to finally be coming back with the bangers. The Bad Guys absolutely soared above my expectations for a movie about a talking wolf that robs banks. Pretty much everything about my initial review holds true. It is exceptionally smooth with a tight script, snappy dialogue, a great alternative animation style, banger music, like seriously banger music, thrilling choreography on the heist and chase sequences, and, of course, sorry. I don't know what came over me there. The smooth vibe of this movie is never once broken. The very first scene of Wolf and Snake just talking about birthdays in the cafe is a great example of the exceptional dialogue writing that establishes character dynamics without losing momentum. And it's like genuinely really touching to see how Diane begins to change Wolf's entire worldview, and seeing how Snake learns human empathy. Reptile empathy, whatever, shut up. Yeah, even though Wolf and Snake's arguments about being bad or good are kinda silly, they're still good stand-ins for a conflict that real friends would go through. It's just an overall fun time that I can still respect as a movie because of the solid story that drives it forward, which is exactly what I love to see from DreamWorks. Unfortunately, the one negative I can list is that besides Mark Maron as Snake, I don't think there was anything remarkable in the voice acting department, especially compared to some of DreamWorks' most iconic voice roles like Will Ferrell as Megamind, Mike Myers as Shrek, Will Smith as Shark Tale. But other than that, every part of this movie is utilized to its absolute fullest potential, from the score to the animation, to really enhance the experience. 9 out of 10. Hola, mis amigos. Jonah's not here to do this review, so I, Puss in Boots, will do it for him.
Welcome to my fiesta!
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is undoubtedly the greatest film of the year. Just look at this fearless feline. Que guapo, eh? Man, I wish I could watch myself on the big screen like you. Hey, what are you doing here? Oh, nothing. I was just, What'd I tell you about crashing my recording, Puss? Sorry. Thank you. I thought there was no shot of any animated movie topping The Bad Guys in 2022. And then DreamWorks was like, oh, and by the way, here's this little movie about a talking cat and a magic wishing star. Have fun. And it banged. Why is this movie so good? Why did it actually make me cry? Like, I almost didn't believe the positive reviews when they first started coming out, because I was like, what? Puss in Boots? Really? But no, it was that good. Not only is the movie really funny and epic as all hell, but watching Puss in Boots be genuinely terrified for the first time in his life is a huge punch to the gut. Like, you never thought he could have these feelings in a million years. I mean, come on, he sang a whole song about it. But then death comes along. Death. Like, dude, come on, look at these shots. Look! I definitely didn't talk about this enough in my initial review. Like, seriously, he's such a good villain. Not only because of his design and his writing, but because of Puss's reaction. Fur on end, eyes wide, heart racing, palms sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. Like, seeing him scared enough to run away and hide, his mask of arrogance finally punctured, forced to acknowledge his own mortality. And as if that wasn't enough, then we have the drama bomb of his past relationship with Kitty Softpaws, and the found family plotline with Goldie, and one of the most funny but still endearing sidekicks I've ever seen in an animated kids movie. So yeah, I don't think any of us expected this, but we've all accepted it. Also, I've been mulling it over for a very long time, and Puss x Kitty have got to be my favorite DreamWorks animated furry ship of the year. Cause holy shit, the tension, the banter, oh my god. Like, I've never actually seen the first movie, so I don't actually know if Puss in Boots is in it, but the way that they play off each other in this movie is just so alluring, to the point where, again, I still got heavy invested in their relationship despite not having seen the first movie. Everything from the voice actors' passionate deliveries, the stellar animation and choreography, the fresh new fantasy concepts, flamboyant Spanish vibe, and slightly more ballsy humor than I remember DreamWorks being able to get away with, make this movie a treat and a half to experience. Full of heart and immensely character-focused while still being a lot of fun, I have no regrets calling this movie a masterpiece. And the best animated film of 2022. 10 por 10. You guys are sleeping on Weird. This movie is the best thing ever. I'm dead serious. Well, as serious as you can be about a Weird Al Yankovic movie. But it is just hysterical, first and foremost from a comedy standpoint. The running jokes get funnier every time they pop up. The celebrity cameos were really great, like Jack Black, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and even Weird Al himself, because why not? And I love how it makes fun of the stereotypical rags to riches tale by making Weird Al's parents overly obtuse and completely unsubtle.
Your dad and I agreed it will be best if you just stop being who you are and doing the things you love.
And these types of meta fourth wall breaky jokes totally could have worked for the entire movie, but as you keep watching, it becomes clearer and clearer that this movie is different. I don't think there's any way to prepare for what this thing throws at you. For anyone who hasn't seen this movie, wondering how they could possibly have made a whole movie about a guy who just changes the words to songs that already exist? Answer, they don't. No, they made a movie about the guy who dated Madonna, then went to the jungle to rescue her and murder the head of the Medellin drug cartel. I don't know who thought that up in the writing room, but they need all the raises. But for reals, like, can you imagine this movie being made any other way? This guy's entire brand was built around not making any goddamn sense. This is the only right way to tell the story of this absolute legend. Like, he's silly and goofy and just a little bit wacky, but when it comes down to it, he's still a really talented musician. Like, the original song he wrote for this movie is actually in 7/4 time. He didn't have to do that, but he did. And it's the same with this movie. Really fucking stupid, but also really well made. Like, his personal journey is grounded, but they're still able to bend the rules of storytelling into a goddamn pretzel. Some of the comedy in this movie is the type of stuff you might expect to see as a parody sketch on early YouTube or something, but this is a real frickin' movie. The pure respect I have for the creators of this thing is unreal. Also, can we talk about Daniel Radcliffe? What an unexpected casting choice. If this movie didn't exist and someone asked me to pick an actor to play Weird Al, Harry Potter might be the last person I think of, but boy does he ever sell this role. Like, it's so dumb. In many ways, Weird, the Al Yankovic story, is an anti-movie. From the raging polka parties to tripping on guacamole to the factory where no one knows what they make, this thing blew the roof off what I thought absurdist comedy could get away with. I don't know, maybe this movie isn't as unique as I think. I haven't seen that many, but fuck it. I laugh my ass off and I can't think of a single negative here, so 10 out of 10. There's something different about the Knives Out movies. Something about its style that sets them apart from the whodunit bunch. Maybe it's the more modern angle, maybe it's the ever-present humor, maybe it's the way they're able to write events that play out two completely different ways the first and second times we see them, blowing your mind every time. Maybe it's Among Us. But in any case, Glass Mystery and Onions Out, a Glass... Hold on. Mystery Onions, a Glass... But in any case, Glass Onion is it. Knives Out is up there on the list of my favorite movies of all time, probably top 5, because of how it flipped everything on its head and wove such an insanely intricate web of characters, mystery, and suspicion. And I don't think any of us thought that this masterpiece could be replicated in any way, shape, or form. At least I know I didn't. But I guess if there was anyone who could, it was the person who made it in the first place. This movie is just freaking genius, as well as an absolute riot. The mystery is just as gripping. The ensemble of rich assholes is just as fun to hate. The score still manages to create so much intrigue while the dialogue is still written and delivered with immaculate timing and wit. I still wasn't able to predict the twists in the second half, and I freaking tried. I knew exactly what I was in for, and I tried to outsmart you, Ryan, but god damn it, you kerfuffled me again. The setups are all there while not being too obvious. The dramatic reveals work so well, and the flashbacks are creatively utilized, and on top of that, there's some really captivating cinematography too. You simply just cannot look away. Of course, the movie is also just really funny. Obviously, we have the returning favorite, the southern drawling, verbose private investigator Benoit Blanc, who is just an absolute icon. Then we have all the random celebrity cameos and name drops, which I guess just catch you off guard. There's all of the Eat the Rich satire, which might be a little bit overdone, but I haven't gotten tired of it yet. And then there's Benoit Blanc playing Among Us on Zoom. So, interpret that how you will. There isn't much more I can even say without completely ruining the experience because, well, you can never see a whodunit for the first time again. But somehow Glass Onion still begs for rewatch just because it's a really good movie. 10 out of 10. Now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for. Hey y'all, welcome back to Boot Scootin' Movie Roundup. As always, I am your host, Jonah Who, and today we're going to be taking a look-see at this here movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Here goes. Whoo, doggy! Now this here's what I like. A movie about one thing and one thing only. Kicking ass. I mean, look at this. Bam, pow, whammo. Shoot, I reckon this is about the coolest gold darn karate movie I ever saw. Look at that fanny pack. Look at that lady doing the thing. Yeah, take him down. Shove that thing up there. Now she's a chef. Now she's a movie star. Now she's got sausages for fingers. Who cares what it all means? Pass me another beer. Hey everyone, welcome back to Jonah Who Movie Time, the show where we tell your mothers what opinions to have about pop culture. Joining me today are John Johnson. How's it going? Kelly Kelson. Hi. And of course, Frank. Sup? Now, Everywhere, Everything, Once and For All stars Michelle Yeoh as an old Chinese lady doing her taxes. Alongside Yeoh in the film are Ke Huy Quan, some guy who eats a bagel, Stephanie Hsu, a moody lesbian, and Jamie Lee Curtis, whose performance as an IRS tax agent will somehow be outstanding enough to win an Oscar. So, what did you guys think? Well, at the end of the day, I think this movie's really about one thing, and one thing only. Girl power. Oh, absolutely. We love queens in Hollywood. I think this movie solved sexism. And racism. Anyway, Frank, what's been making you happy this week? I took a really satisfying dump this morning. Greetings, distinguished viewers. Today, I'd like to discuss the film, A Plethora of Objects in Numerous Locations Simultaneously. This is an incohesive, distracted load of rubbish about one thing and one thing only. Human idiocy. I mean, really, what a mess. Quite simply, it deviates too far from the way a film should be created. Everyone knows you're only allowed to make a film sad and depressing and void of all positive emotions, or else it's for little babies. As a world-renowned film critic, I won't sit through any picture that's not a 7-hour-long underground art house film of paint drying on a wall or something like that. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time I take the trolley back to my flat for tea and crumpets. I thought I tracked that chucklehead down. I thought I had his number. But then he pulled the wool over my eyes and left a trail colder than a dead pig in a meat locker. I'm talking, of course, about the movie, Nothing, Nowhere, Never. When it really comes down to it, this is a movie about one thing and one thing only. Death. We're all gonna die one day. I'm gonna die, you're gonna die, you're probably gonna die sooner. So who cares what we do? In the infinite universe, we're nothing but a blink of an eye. Not to get all existential-like. Hey, what's up, guys? Today, we're counting down the top 10 hidden secrets you missed in a bunch of stuff in a bunch of places. Let us know down in the comments which one of these secrets knocked your socks off the most. Number 10. In the opening scene of the movie, there's a woman sitting at the table. This woman is played by actress Michelle Yeoh. And if you look very carefully, you may also notice her on the front of the poster. This is because she was actually hired by the directors to play the lead role. This movie's raw, dudes. Yeah, mate, I'll have this bloody thing.
Well, golly, this motion picture sure is the bee's knees, ain't it?
Oh, 정ning 하루 정말 좋아요. Oh, was that a bagel? I love bagels. So, what is this movie actually about? Is anyone else lost right now? Because I have no idea what's going on. Well, clearly this is a movie about Asian racism. This movie is definitely about generational trauma, toxic masculinity, LGBTQ acceptance, nihilistic dread. Am I just thinking too hard about this? Or am I not thinking hard enough? This movie has got to be about something, right? Family, adventure, bagels. Something? Anything? Laundry? Raccoons? Googly eyes? Fanny packs? Onions? Onions? What? I thought we were just shouting random things. Let's talk about it, shall we? Every single thing about this movie is tuned to absolute perfection, or at least the closest thing to perfection we're ever gonna get for a while. The balancing act executed by the Daniels here is something I never would have thought possible. From the humor to the heart, the inventive visual effects and editing to the meticulously composed score, from the jaw-dropping choreography to the poignant dialogue, all of it continues to impress me each time I rewatch this movie. I can't even imagine how difficult it was to stitch every universe, every setting, every tone into not only a coherent final product, but a cinematic masterpiece. I am so happy to have witnessed this movie's astronomical success firsthand. I'm so happy that Michelle Yeoh is getting the chance to flex the full extent of her acting prowess. I'm so happy to see Ke Huy Quan making his way back to the big screen. I'm so happy that Mr. Peng finally got a live-action role. And what the hell, I'm happy for Jamie Lee Curtis too. I am just so happy to see all of these ultra-talented motherfuckers getting the recognition they deserve as real actors. Especially when you think about the track record of Asian representation in Hollywood.
But look at us now, huh?
Most of the time, I don't feel Chinese. I've never really been sure about what I am, among other things. Where can I fit in? What am I supposed to do? Well, this movie showed me that it doesn't fucking matter. Certainties don't exist. I just have to be, to cherish the few specks of time where any of this makes any sense. Somehow, somewhere, I'll find myself. As long as I just live. But not only did this movie get me thinking about all it had to say, more than ever, this movie made me want to get involved in filmmaking. You want to know why film is my absolute favorite medium of self-expression? Because you can create anything. Anything? Yes, anything. Movies are just so inherently fascinating. They quite literally give us a window into a whole other world with people and places made to show us new things about ourselves. And it's my firm belief that there's nothing you can't translate to the screen with the right minds and enough dedication. And a big enough budget, but you know, you cross that bridge. Sometimes I use big words and come off as a pretentious know-it-all on this channel, and I hate that. But really what I'm trying to do here is help people enjoy escaping reality with films just as much as I do. And one day, if I'm lucky, I hope to be involved with a project anywhere near as world-changing as Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.